What's up? So I'm Leo, and today we're going to talk about forms in React. We're going to discuss what are the pain points and how we can address them. So let's just go. So here I got a basic React app using create React app. So let's just run it. So we'll go to the playground. Okay, and we're gonna run the project. Now, as you can see, I got a basic form here, and I got different types of implementations for it. We're gonna follow up the code, and we're gonna see how it works. So let's just go. So the first thing we gotta know is that this is a very basic form, right? You can just write whatever you want here, and do whatever it is you do. How does it look like? Well, let's see. So we'll go to a poor form patterns, and let's go to the simple one. Okay, if you want to follow up, we can follow up from the beginning. So basically, I have like a current phase. That's the phases that you can see. Basic, long GSX, callbacks. Okay, so let's just see how the simple form looks like. Well, the simple form looks like we use the use state. We create our simple fields. We have an onChange handler, right? And just pretty basic, and it fits to what we see here, right? Nothing special about that. The only issue here is that, as we know, forms tend to grow, to get more complexity, right? You got product team, they want new features, new validations, new stuff. So the form cannot stay simple, right? So let's see how we can work around. Let's see some of the pitfalls that I've seen in some places. So one pitfall is having a long GSX. Okay, in what it looks like, it might seem the same. You have another section here, okay, but in terms of the code, well, you might see that people would just they would want to keep the state right here, so they'll have a very, very long JSX area, which is, well, as we know, it's gonna get hard to handle all these sections of the form, because some sections, even sometimes they require different UI, right? Sometimes they require different logic, and we don't want our code to just grow to something that is non-maintainable. So another type of handling forms is when you kind of just pass callbacks. And what do I mean by that? Let's see. So you have the form and the set form, right? Pretty much as we've noticed. But now we have the add preference method. And when we get to the preference area, then we are passing callbacks to handle what we want, because we don't want a long GSX or an extremely long GSX. So we kind of use callbacks to handle different sections. Okay. Passing callbacks, you got this. And wait a second. Oh, here at the preference component, you get the onChange preference, you get which is, it's exactly the same. The idea is that you use the same, the same form, set form, right? The same handlers within your page, and you pass them, even if you want to divide it into more, you want to do something that another component would do, so you just pass the callbacks. That's another way of handling a form. Of course, the problem is you want to grow, right? So another method or pattern that I've seen is to basically use multiple form states. All the forms in terms of UI, they look the same, okay? But let's see what multiple form states means. Multiple form states means that I have my form in a set form, but now look here. I have a separate section, and we all know that your form can grow, okay? You have configuration form, blah, blah, blah. It can grow. And in the separate section, well, you got a different state, but still it's a part of the original form. So what do people do in order to handle that? Well, they use the side effect or the React use effect method in order to handle the situation. So wherever the form section changes, you just kind of merge the states. So basically you create two states, okay? Or think about this, of course. Always think scalability, okay? You're gonna have more sections, more independent states, which will merge into the original state, which means now you have more than a single source of truth to handle your form, which is basically just still one form. Even it could be as complicated as you want. Maybe it's a product decision to make it two forms. I don't know. It doesn't matter. As for this moment, we're talking about a form that gets complicated. So, what I suggest to be the perfect or the ideal solution, nothing is perfect, but the ideal solution to handle complex forms is as follows. Now let's see the optimized form. So as you can see here, I have a form provider, okay? Meaning I created, a context, okay? Let's dive into this. I have a use form, okay? File, which at the end of the day exports two functions. One is the form provider, the other one is the hook. So I can consume everything I need to consume from this hook wherever I need. Okay, I don't need to pass any props and callbacks. I can consume whatever I want from this provider, from this hook. So here I would have my form state, but I would use the reducer pattern. Okay, so over here I would have my reducer. Currently I have like an on-change field action, which is what I will use most of the times, and I have some actions that will handle some more unique actions. In this case, remove preference, add empty preference, and these kind of things. So another thing you can see here is the use of Lodash-FP set. If you're not familiar with Lodash-FP, FP stands for functional programming, which means that the contract of the functions, of the methods, means that I will get new objects, okay, instead of modifying existing ones. So this is very important for and very useful for using in React, in reducers and modifying states and stuff like that, because this is how React works. So I will just use that, and we'll see one of the benefits of it, of using a path and handling state modifications gracefully. So let's go back to our use form. So here I have my form state and my dispatch. If you're not familiar with the use reducer pattern, then this is not going to cover that. So just familiarize yourself with this, and we'll have a set form field which will get the path and the value, and will dispatch the on-change field action. We have a remove preference, okay, and we have an add empty preference. And I have my provider value, which I would pass the actions and the form state. And this is how the optimized form looks like. Now look here, I got 3 sections, okay? let's dive in. Each section, okay, I can basically consume what I need to consume from my use by awesome form hook. Okay, I can access the values that I need, and I can access the actions that I need. And well, looks pretty clean, maintainable to me. If anything, anywhere, if any time I would need to do some sort of, perform some sort of modifications, maintenance, add some sort of validations, I got what I need right here, and I still have my single source of truth, which is my my hook and my reducer. My reducer would save my as you know, my state, and I can follow my actions in one place. Second form section. Okay, here I got the preferences, as we've seen earlier. Again, very clear. I consume whatever I need where I need it, and I do not pass any props, use prop drilling where it's not necessary. And same goes here. And my preference here, take a look at my preference here. This is the preference as it should be. It takes whatever it needs to take, right? The actions that it needs from the form, okay? And now some of you might say, wait, this is not generic. Why can't I get callbacks for these? And you're right. If the preference is, a reusable component, sure, have a container, like a preference container, consume what you need to consume there and pass callbacks. But again, it's just whatever you need, just whatever you want, whatever your circumstance. This method, this pattern of using the context with the hook allows you to be very flexible. Okay. So this is my my preference. This is how it looks like right now. And my third section. Okay, I have this section which only renders if the preference length is more than 2. Okay, if it's less than 2. If the length is less than 2, I return null. And well, let's see how this looks like. Well, they all look the same, but behind the scenes they're not the same. If I add a preference, okay, then I can see how gracefully I can handle forms in React using this pattern. And another thing that I want to focus on, which I mentioned earlier, is here in my reducer pattern. I use the set method from Lodash-FP, which basically allows me to use the onChange field very, very dynamically, very gracefully. And the Lodash-FP set, well, if you're familiar with the regular Lodash set, so you might wonder, why is the signature this way? Well, yeah, it's backwards, like the state and the path. They just modified the signature in the FP version of this. So what I get here is the ability, for example, if I go to my optimized form and I go to my preferences, so let's see. Okay, so here I passed the index, okay, of this item. Now, why did I do that? Because using Lodash-FP allows me to pass the path of the property that I wish to modify in this way, this manner, which is to me it's just very simple, very readable. As you can see in my use form, it basically, I take the path and I pass it, and then in my reducer, then I just access that path, and it knows exactly, as you saw using the index, it understands exactly which item I want to change. So this is a very, very useful implementation of the set method, and why I didn't use the regular the just non using set lodash fp set. I use it again here in my third form section. As you can see, set form field, I use the index and I use it as a single path being transferred to the hook and to the reducer, and very gracefully changing the values of my form. So there you go, handling forms in React. So wish you luck with that.